This is SNL Saturday Night Live actually in America. Not this new UK version, but the American version on Weekend Update has gone for her again. And this was the most savage tick yet. I mean, they actually call her a tick. Watch this.
Yeah. Okay. King Charles visited the U.S. to mark the 250th anniversary of American independence from Britain and to seek the release of a British hostage being held by an American
I tried so hard. Did you like it?
I'm almost speechless.
Oh man, it's so funny, Dan. It's so funny.
Saturday Night Live once again slams Meghan Markle as she is spiraling after burning all of the bridges.
Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. Studio 8H, New York City. Something happened on live television that instantly got everyone's attention. At the Weekend Update desk, Colin Jost looked straight into the camera with millions of people watching. Then he said something that left viewers stunned. On one of America's biggest comedy shows, the same stage politicians and celebrities hope they're never mentioned on, he took direct aim at Meghan Markle. There was no hidden meaning, no joke to soften the blow. He said the words out loud, and within minutes, people everywhere were talking about it. What happened next only made the controversy even bigger.
children don't know who their daddy is.
Right on cue, a huge photo of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle filled the screen behind him. The reaction was instant. The audience didn't stay quiet. They didn't just laugh. They erupted with loud cheers and laughter that echoed through the studio. For a brief moment, Colin Jost looked like he was about to lose his composure. He fought back a smile, gathered himself, and continued as if nothing had happened. But by then, it was already too late. The moment had landed, and the clip was already on its way to becoming one of the most talked about moments of the night.
Meghan Markle is once again getting trolled. Oh, poor Meghan, the most trolled person in the entire world.
Then, the clip exploded. In less than 36 hours, those few seconds were everywhere. Page 6, Sky News Australia, GB News, the Daily Mail, and almost every major Royal Watch account on X was sharing the same moment. Just 9 seconds had turned into a global talking point. One sentence, one punchline, Meghan Markle's name on NBC during prime time, with Prince Harry's face filling the screen. Whether people loved it or hated it, everyone seemed to be talking about the exact same moment. And the debate was only getting louder.
The hatred for Meghan is all over the place. She has burned way too many bridges, so it doesn't surprise me at all. And hence why we're getting jokes like this, because she's become the joke. Meghan Markle is completely a joke at this point.
But here's what makes this even more shocking. This wasn't some accidental comment or an off-the-cuff mistake. On Weekend Update, nothing gets on air by chance. Every joke goes through multiple writers, editors, and even network lawyers before Colin Jost ever reads it on live TV. That means the line wasn't a surprise. It was carefully reviewed and approved before millions of people heard it. Whoever gave it the green light knew exactly how the audience would react. And when the joke finally landed, the crowd's explosive response seemed to prove they had made the right call. That reaction instantly became part of the story, making the moment impossible to ignore.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament. She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
Yeah, everyone wants to see it.
So how did it get to this point? How did America's biggest comedy show go from welcoming Prince Harry and Meghan Markle into the spotlight to making them the target of jokes that grab national attention? That's the question we're about to explore. Because what happened wasn't just one viral moment, it was part of a much longer story. Over the past 8 years, the tone of the jokes and public reactions gradually changed. Year after year, the punchlines kept coming, and the audience's response seemed to grow louder each time. Eventually, it felt like even the biggest TV networks were no longer treating the couple the way they once had. Now, to be fair, this is one way of interpreting those moments, and different people may see them differently. But when similar jokes keep appearing over many years, and they keep getting the same strong reaction from the audience, it naturally raises questions about whether public opinion has shifted over time. That's exactly the timeline we're going to break down step by step.
NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Now let's rewind exactly 1 year. May 10th, 2025, same studio, same Weekend Update desk, same Colin Jost, another Saturday night with millions watching. The biggest headline that week was President Trump's newly announced trade deal with the United Kingdom. It was the kind of political story that usually leads to a quick joke and then moves on. Nothing unusual. But then everything changed. Jost glanced down at his cue cards, paused for a split second, and delivered a punchline that caught many viewers completely off guard. In an instant, the focus shifted away from trade, politics, and economics, and landed squarely on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The audience reacted immediately, and another royal joke was suddenly making headlines far beyond the comedy show itself.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
Then, the cameras cut to a photo of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, taken just after they attended Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter concert the night before. The timing couldn't have been better for the joke. The studio erupted with laughter. It wasn't a few chuckles, it was one of those reactions that completely filled the room. Even Colin Jost briefly looked like he might break character before quickly pulling himself together and moving on. But by then, the moment had already taken on a life of its own. Within hours, the clip was spreading across social media. And by the end of the weekend, people around the world were talking about it. Now, here's what made that joke stand out. It wasn't just about politics or a trade agreement. The humor came from the idea that Harry and Meghan had become such a controversial topic that they were being used as the punchline. The joke exaggerated the situation for comedic effect, suggesting that neither side wanted to deal with the couple. Whether people agreed with it or not, the audience's reaction showed that the punchline connected with many viewers. And that raises a bigger question. How did two of the world's most talked about royals go from being seen as the future of the monarchy to becoming regular targets of late-night comedy? That's the question we'll keep exploring as the story unfolds.
Donald Trump has had enough of them. He's privately savaged Prince Harry during King Charles's visit to America. Trump remarked to a British visitor when the conversation turned to Harry, "Can you take him back?" Everyone is fed up with the grifters. I mean, Trump has clearly had enough of the woe is me, ginger and whinger.
Did you like it?
I'm gonna come.
The timing made the moment even more noticeable. It happened during the same week Prince Harry was publicly speaking about wanting a reconciliation with his family. At the same time, Meghan Markle was promoting her latest Netflix project. Both were already dominating headlines. So when Saturday Night Live added its own joke, it quickly became part of the wider conversation. What caught people's attention wasn't just the punchline, it was how directly it played into the public narrative surrounding the couple. The joke exaggerated the idea that Harry and Meghan were becoming a subject neither side wanted to deal with, turning that perception into comedy. Whether viewers found it funny or unfair, it immediately sparked debate across social media. Supporters pushed back, critics piled on, and online arguments flared up almost instantly. But despite the heated reactions, the joke stayed on the air. The clip continued to spread, and the conversation didn't fade. If anything, it became another example of how Harry and Meghan had become recurring subjects for late-night television and public debate.
You know, I mean, she used to be on
Was
Deal or
he
No
infiltrated?
Deal. Look, she was on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the wife convinces you to leave the royal family. Like, I'm out. I don't need you guys. Which is crazy, because don't you just get free money?
The clip didn't disappear after the broadcast. It only got bigger. News outlets and royal commentators kept replaying it, while social media users shared it across countless posts and discussions. Everywhere people looked, the same few seconds from Saturday Night Live were being talked about again and again. But something else had changed. A few years earlier, similar jokes often sparked loud online backlash and organized responses from supporters. This time, the reaction felt different. There were still debates, but the wave of pushback didn't seem as strong or as coordinated. Instead, the conversation quickly shifted to the joke itself and what it might say about changing public attitudes toward Harry and Meghan. And that's where the pattern becomes interesting. Looking back, the 2025 joke almost felt like a preview of what would happen a year later. When another royal joke aired in 2026, it landed with an even bigger reaction. Same show, same weekend update desk, same writing team, similar target. But this time, the audience response appeared even louder, making many viewers wonder whether late-night comedy was simply reflecting a broader shift in public opinion or helping shape it.
The irony of her calling Lauren Sanchez trashy, but now quietly realizing, oh crap, I should have befriended her more, is so hilarious to me. Because Lauren Sanchez, same type of thing, but she bagged someone richer and actually who has power, unlike Harry. Meghan must be so damn jealous of that.
But here's where the story takes an even more interesting turn. The recent Saturday Night Live jokes didn't come out of nowhere. If you look back through the show's history, you'll find that Harry and Meghan have been appearing in SNL sketches for years. Long before the latest headlines, long before the streaming deals and public interviews, the couple had already become recurring subjects for comedy. Let's rewind to April 13th, 2019. At that point, Archie hadn't even been born yet. Meghan's pregnancy was still one of the biggest royal stories in the world. That night, Saturday Night Live aired a comedy sketch called Royal Baby Video. Emma Stone was hosting, and what started as a playful royal parody quickly turned into another memorable moment in the show's long-running take on Harry and Meghan. Looking back now, it's interesting because this wasn't a one-off joke. It was an early chapter in a pattern that would continue over the years. One sketch became another, then another, and eventually the couple became regular targets whenever a major royal story dominated the headlines. That's why many people see the more recent jokes not as isolated moments, but as part of a much longer timeline.
All right, look who it is. It's one of my ex-girlfriends. Excellent, Miss Tinsley Granger-Gash.
Yeah.
Hi, Tins. You want to say something to my future child?
Oh, hello, little baby. Hello, little tiny baby.
Little close,
little
Tins,
baby.
right?
Your dad broke up with me on WhatsApp.
In the sketch, Mikey Day stepped into the role of Prince Harry. From the moment he appeared, the audience knew exactly where the joke was headed. His exaggerated version of Harry leaned into the public image people had become familiar with, setting up the comedy that followed. It was a lighthearted parody on the surface, but it also showed that Saturday Night Live had already started using Harry and Meghan as recurring comedy material years before the more recent headlines. That early sketch would become one of the first examples in a pattern that continued to grow over time.
Here we go. Come on, your grandpa, Prince Charles, right? Say hello, Dad.
Hello.
All right, do you want to say anything to your future grandchild?
Yes. Hello.
Meanwhile, Kate McKinnon took on the role of the late Queen Elizabeth II. With her trademark straight face and perfectly controlled royal manner, she delivered an exaggerated version of the monarch that immediately got laughs from the audience. Her performance captured calm, formal image many people associated with the Queen, creating a sharp contrast with the more chaotic energy surrounding the younger royals. That contrast became one of the sketch's biggest sources of comedy and helped make the parody even more memorable.
All right, we're gonna donate. Someone's trapped under the gift. Something. Oh my God, Grandma! Grandma, you're on the floor. What's going on?
What happened? Am I king?
No, Dad, she's fine.
Oh, well, good.
Then, the sketch turns to Meghan's pregnancy. In character as Queen Elizabeth II, Kate McKinnon addresses the royal baby directly, setting up one of the sketch's biggest comedic moments. It was a clear sign that Saturday Night Live wasn't just joking about royal events. It was using one of the biggest headlines of the moment as the center of its parody. The audience immediately understood the reference, and the scene quickly became one of the most talked about parts of the sketch.
Careful, Gran, please. You want to say hello to your future grandchild?
Oh, hello. Welcome to the family. I already love you with all my heart.
Oh, Gran.
Even though you're half American, which means you're half traitor.
All right, thank you, Gran.
The audience's reaction was immediate. The laughter was loud, it stayed in the final broadcast, and millions of viewers saw it during primetime on NBC. The joke wasn't trimmed or toned down. It aired exactly as planned, making it one of the most memorable moments in the sketch. Then came another line that caught everyone's attention. Cecily Strong, playing Catherine, Princess of Wales, delivered it with a tense smile and perfect comic timing. At the time, it was just another punchline in a royal parody. But years later, many viewers looked back at that moment and felt the joke had taken on a completely different meaning. What once seemed like ordinary satire suddenly felt surprisingly relevant in light of everything that happened afterward. Whether that was coincidence or simply sharp comedy writing is open to interpretation, but it gave the old sketch a whole new life.
And here she is, your aunt, Kate Middleton. All right, the papers keep saying she's feuding with your mum, but that's not true.
No,
right?
we're not feuding. Why? Why would we? Because I follow all the strict rules and she doesn't, and people love her for it?
Mhm.
No, I love that. Excuse me?
Now, let's go back to 2019. This was years before the Oprah interview, years before Spare, long before many of the biggest public disagreements between Harry, Meghan, and the royal family became worldwide headlines. Yet Saturday Night Live was already making Harry and Meghan the center of royal comedy sketches. Looking back, some royal commentators have argued that those early jokes seem surprisingly relevant today. At the time, they were simply punchlines. But after everything that followed, many viewers revisited those sketches and saw them in a completely different light. Whether that's sharp comedy writing or hindsight is something people still debate. The old clips continue to circulate years later. What's even more remarkable is that those jokes remained part of the show's history. They weren't removed, rewritten, or publicly walked back. Instead, they kept resurfacing online whenever fresh royal headlines appeared. Certain lines from those sketches became popular references among royal commentators and social media users, showing how a single comedy moment can sometimes outlast the news cycle that inspired it. But here's where the story takes another turn. Before we get to what many viewers describe as one of Saturday Night Live's toughest jokes involving Harry and Meghan, it's worth looking at how the show handled another controversial royal figure. Because this wasn't just about the Sussexes, SNL had a long history of satirizing the royal family as a whole. Fast forward to January 22nd, 2022. Prince Andrew had just lost his honorary military titles following major public controversy. As the headlines dominated international news, Colin Jost returned to the Weekend Update desk, looked down at his cue cards, and launched into two back-to-back jokes. The first started as a joke about Prince Andrew deleting his ex, then Twitter account, after supposedly confusing it with the app full of dancing teenagers, a setup that immediately had the audience laughing before the bigger punchline was still to come.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince and current river corpse, has been arrested and now may be banned from ever taking the throne. In fact, the royal family said the only way he can become king is if it comes down to either him or Meghan.
Then came the second joke, the one many viewers still remember. It was a sharp piece of wordplay delivered with perfect timing. The audience burst into laughter almost immediately, while Colin Jost barely changed his expression. That calm delivery made the punchline hit even harder. Years later, royal commentators were still referencing the joke as one of the standout moments from Weekend Update. But the story didn't end there. Fast forward to November 2025. Fresh royal headlines once again put Prince Andrew back in the spotlight, and Saturday Night Live returned to the subject. By then, the show's audience already knew what to expect whenever the royal family dominated the news. This time, Michael Che was behind the Weekend Update desk. He delivered another joke that immediately grabbed attention and quickly became one of the most talked about moments from that episode. Entertainment outlets highlighted the segment, and the clip spread rapidly across social media as viewers debated just how far late-night comedy had gone. Then came the line everyone started talking about. It aired live on national television, and within hours it was being quoted across news stories, entertainment websites, and royal commentary channels. Whether people laughed, criticized it, or simply couldn't believe it had made it to air, one thing was clear: the joke had become another viral SNL moment.
Prince Andrew has been stripped of his royal title of prince due to his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. And Andrew says he can only become prince again if he gets a kiss from a young princess.
The reaction inside the studio was impossible to miss. There was a brief moment of surprise, and then the audience erupted into loud laughter. By the next morning, clips from the segment were circulating widely online, with viewers debating the joke and sharing it across social media. It's important to keep the context in mind. At the time, Prince Andrew was facing intense public scrutiny and ongoing legal developments. He had not been convicted of any criminal offense. Saturday Night Live chose to make him the subject of a joke, and we're describing what aired on the program, not repeating or endorsing the joke ourselves. What stood out to many observers was that the show's writers and network approved the material for a national broadcast, reflecting how late-night comedy was responding to the public conversation surrounding him. That brings us back to the moment that ties this entire timeline together: May 2nd, 2026. Same Weekend Update desk, same Colin Jost, same audience. After moving through several of the night's biggest headlines, including political stories and royal references, Jost reached the final punchline of the segment. It was the closing joke, and it would quickly become the moment everyone was talking about. By the end of the weekend, that closing line had overshadowed almost everything else from the episode, leaving viewers asking the same question. Had this become the biggest royal joke SNL had ever aired?
King Charles also presented President Trump with the original bell from a British submarine and said, "Should you ever need to get a hold of us, just give us a ring."
And then he pivots.
Or Trump could just call the guy saved in his phone as Andrew Island.
Then came another moment that quickly spread online. A photo of Prince Andrew appeared on the screen, and the audience reacted instantly. First came a few surprised gasps, followed by loud laughter that filled the studio. Within a day, entertainment outlets and royal commentators were discussing the segment, and clips from the broadcast were circulating widely across social media. The joke itself was short, but its impact was much bigger. It showed that Saturday Night Live was continuing to treat the royal family as recurring comedy material, with different members becoming the focus depending on the week's headlines. Rather than targeting one person, the show framed several royals as part of the same ongoing satirical storyline. Whether viewers agreed with the humor or not, the sketches became talking points far beyond the broadcast itself. And then the timeline shifts once again. This time, we go back to December 16th, 2023. The Prince and Princess of Wales had just released their annual Christmas card. Within hours, people online began questioning the image, and major news organizations discussed concerns about how the photo had been edited. The story quickly grew into an international media frenzy, making headlines around the world. As expected, SNL didn't ignore it. Colin Jost looked straight into the camera, paused just long enough to build anticipation, and let the silence do its work. The audience could tell a punchline was coming. For a brief second, the studio went completely quiet. Then he read the joke. And once again, a royal headline had become primetime comedy.
A Christmas photo released by the royal family features a bad Photoshop job where Prince Louis's finger appears to be missing. And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need.
The studio exploded with laughter. Colin Jost couldn't hide a quick grin before moving on to the next story. The visual that appeared on screen made the joke even more memorable, and within hours the clip was being shared across social media, entertainment sites, and royal discussion channels. But here's why this moment stands out. It wasn't just another celebrity joke. The writers managed to take a complicated royal news story that had dominated headlines and compress it into a punchline that lasted only a few seconds. That's what Saturday Night Live often does best. Turn weeks of news coverage into one joke that millions of people instantly understand. If you've been following this channel, you'll already recognize many of the stories that led up to this moment. We've covered several royal controversies and the public debates surrounding them. The interesting part is how SNL drew on those broader conversations and blended different headlines into a single sketch. Whether viewers agreed with the joke or not, it reflected how quickly late-night comedy can capture the public mood and package a complex story into one memorable television moment.
We know what that means.
That's LA. She wants to be famous. She found the guy to make her the most famous in the world, and now she's over there and she's like, if she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks barista.
Now, step back and look at the bigger picture. Over several years, the tone of the jokes appears to change. In the early days, Saturday Night Live often portrayed Meghan as the modern outsider entering an old, traditional royal institution, while much of the humor was aimed at the monarchy itself and its formal traditions. But as the years went on, the focus gradually shifted. Later sketches began putting Harry and Meghan themselves closer to the center of the punchlines. Instead of simply poking fun at the royal family, the comedy increasingly reflected the controversies and headlines surrounding the Sussexes. Whether that change mirrored public opinion or simply followed the biggest news stories is something viewers continue to debate. By 2021, the royal conversation had become even more intense following major interviews and global media coverage. During one episode, host Daniel Kaluuya delivered a joke referencing the public discussion surrounding the royal family and the couple's future child, a line that sparked immediate laughter and widespread discussion. The joke drew directly from one of the biggest royal stories in the news, showing once again how SNL was turning headline-making events into material for national television. Taken together, these moments suggest a noticeable evolution in the show's approach. The jokes didn't stay fixed on one target. They changed as the public conversation changed, reflecting the royal stories that were dominating headlines at the time.
Black and I'm British. Basically, I'm what the royal family was worried the baby would look like.
When you line up the jokes year by year, a pattern starts to emerge. In 2018, much of the comedy focused on the traditions of the royal family, with Meghan often portrayed as the modern outsider entering a centuries-old institution. By 2019, the jokes had begun shifting toward Harry and Meghan themselves. As the years passed and new headlines appeared, the punchlines increasingly centered on the couple rather than the monarchy alone. By 2023, 2025, and 2026, the comedy reflected the controversies dominating the news at the time. Each new sketch built on the public conversation that was already taking place, using the latest headlines as material for late-night television. Whether viewers saw that as fair satire or overly harsh criticism depended on their perspective, but the recurring appearances of Harry and Meghan in the sketches showed they remained high-profile subjects for comedy. That's what makes this timeline so interesting. It isn't just about one viral joke or one controversial episode. It's about watching how a long-running comedy show adapted its material as public attention shifted over the years. As new headlines emerged, so did new punchlines, and the audience continued to respond. Whether that reflects changing public opinion, the demands of topical comedy, or a mix of both is something viewers can decide for themselves.
Elon built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why is he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up.
When you step back and look at the timeline, the contrast is striking. Years ago, Meghan Markle entered the royal family with enormous international attention and widespread media interest. In those early days, much of the coverage focused on the promise of a new chapter for the monarchy and the excitement surrounding the royal wedding. Fast forward several years, and the tone of the conversation looks very different. On late-night television, Harry and Meghan have become recurring subjects for satire alongside other high-profile public figures. Whether that's because of their continued media presence, the controversies surrounding them, or simply the nature of topical comedy is something viewers can judge for themselves. That's why this story has attracted so much attention. It's not just about one joke or one viral clip. It's about how a long-running comedy show has reflected the changing headlines over time. Public figures who remain in the news often become recurring targets for satire, and Harry and Meghan have been no exception. One thing is difficult to ignore. When the same public figures keep appearing in late-night comedy over many years, it usually reflects the fact that they remain part of the ongoing public conversation. Whether that represents changing public sentiment, the demands of comedy writers, or a combination of both, is ultimately for viewers to decide.
It was reported that the organizers of King Charles's coronation have officially invited Meghan Markle, and this is nice, at a starting salary of $19 an hour.
And if you think all of this only started in recent years, think again. To understand the full story, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. May 19th, 2018. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had just been married at Windsor Castle. It was one of the biggest television events of the year. Millions of people around the world watched the ceremony with its grand setting, white roses, gospel choir, and celebration of a new chapter for the royal family. The mood was overwhelmingly positive. But just hours later, the tone changed. That same evening, Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update returned to the air. As viewers settled in, Michael Chase stepped up to the desk, looked into the camera, and opened the royal segment with a punchline that immediately caught the audience's attention. It was the first sign that SNL wasn't going to treat the royal wedding as untouchable, and it marked the beginning of a long series of jokes that would continue for years to come.
Here today, Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma.
The audience reacted instantly. Laughter echoed through the studio as the first major Saturday Night Live joke about Harry and Meghan landed on the very day of their royal wedding. While the fairy tale ceremony was still dominating headlines around the world, SNL was already taking a very different approach. The joke centered on Prince Harry, but because it came on the couple's wedding day, it inevitably drew Meghan into the punchline as well. From the very beginning, the show made it clear that even the biggest royal celebration wasn't off limits for comedy. Now, fast forward nearly 3 years. April 10th, 2021. The Oprah interview had shaken the royal world just weeks earlier, with headlines dominating news outlets across the globe. That weekend, Oscar-nominated actor Daniel Kaluuya took the Saturday Night Live stage as host. During his opening monologue, he joked about his own background and the public conversation surrounding the royal family. As he pointed to himself, the audience immediately understood where the joke was heading, and the studio was already laughing before he even reached the punchline. It became another example of how the royal story had become one of late-night television's favorite recurring topics.
I'm black and I'm British. Basically, I'm what the royal family was worried the baby would look like. You know, people ask me, what's worse? British racism or American racism? Let me put it this way. British racism is so bad, white people left. They wanted to be free. Free to create their own kind of racism.
The audience immediately understood the reference. The reaction inside the studio was huge, and the moment quickly became one of the standout clips from the episode. Within hours, entertainment outlets and online commentators were discussing the monologue, and the segment spread rapidly across social media. It showed that the royal story had become bigger than news headlines. It had become material for mainstream American comedy. What made that moment significant was that Saturday Night Live wasn't simply reacting to the latest headlines. The show was taking one of the most talked about royal stories of the year and turning it into a joke that millions of viewers instantly recognized. Whether people agreed with the punchline or not, it reflected just how deeply the Harry and Meghan story had entered popular culture. Then the timeline moves forward again. February 4th, 2023. Spare had been on bookshelves for about a month, dominating conversations around the world. Once again, Saturday Night Live decided the royal story was too big to ignore. This time, the show introduced a parody British rap sketch featuring James Austin Johnson, Devon Walker, and other cast members. As the music started and the lyrics began flying, viewers quickly realized this wasn't just another comedy bit, it was another chapter in the show's long-running tradition of turning royal headlines into viral television moments.
If you want us to sum up our thoughts, take out the pods and hear me, all right? Because we have a way of talking back in the ends. 30 million pounds? Yeah. Prince Eric stayed over at Tyler Perry's, press cold like Bren and Jerry's. I'm allergic to dairy.
Then the killer.
Harry and Meghan, Ronald Reagan, interracial dating, Queen said not today, Satan.
By this point, the pattern was hard to ignore. Every new royal headline seemed to become fresh material for Saturday Night Live. The audience didn't suddenly change overnight. Over the years, they had watched one royal sketch after another, each one building on the last. As new controversies dominated the news, the jokes evolved with them, and viewers already understood the references before the punchlines even landed. Look at the timeline. 2018. The royal wedding. 2021. The Oprah fallout. 2023. Spare and the Christmas photo controversy. 2025. The trade deal joke. 2026. The latest weekend update segment. Different headlines, different moments, but the same couple kept returning to the center of the conversation. And then another development added to the story. A British version of Saturday Night Live entered the picture, bringing its own style of satire and focusing heavily on British political and royal headlines. While the American show approached the royal family from a US perspective, the British version naturally leaned into British humor, references, and public debates. Together, both shows demonstrated that the royal family, and especially its most talked-about members, remained a constant source of comedy on both sides of the Atlantic. That brings us back to where we began. One viral joke may grab headlines for a weekend, but what makes this story fascinating is the long timeline behind it. Over the years, SNL repeatedly turned royal news into comedy, reflecting whichever stories dominated the public conversation at the time. Whether you see that as evidence of changing public opinion, the normal evolution of topical satire, or something in between, one thing is clear. Harry and Meghan have remained among the most recognizable and most frequently parodied public figures in recent years. And that's why this discussion continues. It's about more than one sketch or one controversial punchline. It's about how comedy, news, and public perception often influence each other over time. As long as Harry and Meghan continue making headlines, they'll likely remain regular subjects for late-night satire. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Saturday Night Live is simply reflecting public opinion, or do you think its jokes help shape it? We'd love to hear your perspective, and before you go, check out our next video, where we break down the events surrounding the US-UK trade deal and why so many royal commentators believe it became the setup for one of the most talked about SNL royal jokes in recent years. That episode connects directly to everything you've just watched, and it fills in several key pieces of the story.